Assalamu alaikum, hello and good afternoon. You are listening to Atiyah on the Mental Health and Emotional Wellbeing Show on Ramadan Radio Wolverhampton and online on ramadanradiowolves.com. You can also find us on YouTube, do hit subscribe, and on Facebook. In the show today, we hope to provide information that might be helpful to support your well-being and the well-being of others because everyone's mental health matters. You can listen back to this and previous shows on Ramadan Radio's YouTube channel, alongside finding further mental health information on my X feed at Atiyah Ali 3. We are not here to offer you advice in place of your clinician. However, we will share information that may encourage you to seek support. If you feel you need to discuss your health and well-being following this show, then please contact your GP or mental health professional. You are very welcome to send comments regarding the show via the WhatsApp messaging number on 07 440 420 432. This Ramadan, the Mental Health and Emotional Wellbeing Show will focus on teen girls and women, self-care support for teen girls and women. Our guest today, Fatima, is a coach specializing in guiding teens and women through the process of shedding the outer layers and connecting with their inner selves. Fatima utilizes a combination of powerful techniques such as emotion freedom technique, EFT, and family constellation therapy, integrating these approaches, providing a structured framework that fosters personal growth and healing. We look forward to hearing more about this. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ramadan Radio's Mental Health and Emotional Wellbeing Show. Fatima, thank you for being with us.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, could we ask what brought you to being a coach and this career? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I started my journey when actually I was working as an interpreter because I can speak 4 languages. I have bachelor's in Arabic, so I utilized that as translating for a lot of mental health patients. That's where I started. While I was translating for people with mental health, and I saw how therapy, healing could change somebody's life, that fascinated me. And that, the hope that I was seeing in the patient's eyes while I was translating for them just pushed me to go that, in the therapy world and healing world. Alongside with that, I had endometriosis. Well, I have it still. And I was going through so much pains in my body, unexplained. Wasn't diagnosed either. I just was going through a lot of pain as a girl who's 20, 21, started having extreme bad pains. And just the combination of seeing people healing and me going through, my own pain, which affected my life in various places, in my relationship, in my finances, my family, in my community work. It affected every aspect. And I was trying to hold everything together, but I couldn't because I wasn't taking care of my mental well-being.
Right.
Yeah. So that, to be honest, that was my beginning stepping into mental health, really. Yeah.
Okay, so it's coming from a very personal place as well as hearing other people's experiencing through your interpreting services that you provided. Did you go on to then train in coaching, or was there a journey to that?
So I started. I started with my own journey, and I started with family constellation therapy. I had a therapy, and a lot of thinking came out for me, especially from my teenage. I had a difficult teenage. I was a difficult teenage. The teenage that nobody wants to talk to because they're such a mess. And I thought when I got married, had a settled life, I thought I've left all that behind. But it started creeping on me when I got married and I started my professional life. So that was a wake-up call for me. And I started going to family constellation. Again, a lot of things from my childhood and mainly from my teenage started coming out. started working on it,
Hmm.
did multiple courses with multiple coaches. And while I was getting my therapy, my therapist offered me to train with her, because if you don't know about family constellation, it's a group therapy. It's a group healing. So there's many women, or in my case, there were many women in that therapy, and I was one of them. And then I trained with my therapist for almost 3 years, and I'm still in contact and working with her. You might know the organization is called Easy Heal. So I was
Hmm.
honored to work and train with her. I went through a course with her as well. So I'm a facilitator now for family constellation. While doing that, I just recently got certified for emotional freedom technique. So mainly the family constellation works on the energy side of a person. And then I wanted to work on my subconscious mind, which is very powerful. So then I decided to certify as an EFT as well. So these are two things that are certification wise. But experience wise, I've done a lot of courses about womb. If you know Baraka womb, I have done many courses with them to work firstly on my own self, on my endometriosis, and understand my womb better, and then help the community around me as well.
Sounds very interesting, and your journey, a very sensitive one.
Yeah.
Um, Fatima, I'm wondering as we begin to talk a bit more about what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
um, in your work. I'm thinking firstly, we were focusing on teen and women,
Mm-hmm.
and when we think about teenagers, and we think about the problems or issues that might arise or the difficulties that someone might be experiencing, your first access or point of call, would that be with parents or would that be with the teenagers? Do you get contacted by parents
Oh,
firstly or teenagers? What tends to happen?
parents, they see, because they see the overview when a teenager is going through what they go through, which is very hard. I'll
Hmm.
be very clear on that. What they go through is very hard. But parents do pick that energy that my child is going through something I don't know what is,
Mm,
but he is or
mm,
she is.
hmm.
So they tend to come to me,
Right.
and yeah.
Mm. What kind of difficulties, I mean, do people often share with you in terms of, what experiences are people having in terms of wanting support?
You
And are
know,
they always keen to have that support? Sorry.
oh yeah. Well, the parents are keen because
Hmm. Hmm.
every parent was a teenager once, and they
Mm.
know how it feels, and they
Yeah.
know they want to help their kids, but they don't have the tools, and that's why
Hmm.
they come to me.
And what
Yeah.
kind of difficulties do they share that these teenagers are experiencing?
They just tend to shut down in
Mm.
front with the family,
Mm.
or they started going through some addictions, or it's mainly that the mother feels that, or the parents feel like we don't know what they're going through, the uncertainty. They
Mm.
can see from an outsider, from an outside view, that they are struggling. What are they struggling with? We can't figure out.
Right. Right.
So they are a bit lost. The parents come a bit lost that I don't know what
Yeah.
my child is going through, and I
So
don't know how to help them.
mm, the parents are looking for then guidance from you in terms of understanding what might
Yes,
be occurring.
yes.
Mm,
And and subhanallah, sorry to cut you off here, but
not at all.
it's all mainly happens things that the mother didn't deal with or the parent didn't deal with in their teenage or in their youth. And they can see their kids are going through the same struggles or worse sometimes.
Yeah, so sometimes that insight for parents enables them to seek support because perhaps that was not available for them when they were children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some of the presentations you talked there about were things like addictions or children withdrawing. perhaps hiding away in their room. What are the signs and symptoms of some of the issues that you've mentioned for
Mm.
parents to look out for? How would they recognize that the children are experiencing difficulties? What signs would they see? What might they notice?
I think the parents know the kids the most. That's first thing. And I like it when the mothers follow their intuitions, when they feel like, oh, something's wrong. Why is she not coming out having dinner with us? Oh, why she's always in the room? Why do I see her sad all the time?
Mm,
Why is she like blank sometimes when I talk to her? The mothers have their intuitions, and they tend to try to brush it off, like not see the intuitions or not work on the intuition. I always advise them to work on the intuitions. If they feel, yeah, something is wrong with my child, seek help. That's all I'm going to say regarding that. Yes.
okay, thank you. So again, it's a very subtle and difficult situation for parents. I'm guessing that some parents might um, not notice what's occurring and might see it as a normal teenage reaction. How could
Hmm.
they open up that conversation with their children to figure out whether they require further support? What kind
Oh,
of tips could
yes.
you give?
Yes. Um, First thing I say to the parents, you need to start working on yourself first. First, the parent needs to start working on themselves and create that environment in the house.
Mm,
That healing, working on yourself is very important. Just like we emphasize on going for tuitions, for educational based, seminars and educational based gatherings, or when we have Ramadan and Eid, and we celebrate all these things that are important in our life. We emphasize on it, but the parents tend to always put their own mental health in the back seat. So I always advise and recommend uh, the parents to work on their own mental health first, so they
okay.
have the patient to hold space for their children as well. When the parent is under so much pressure and not working on their own well-being, mental well-being, they won't have the space, the mental space to work on their children's mental well-being and give them space to go through things.
Mm,
Yeah. So I personally advise them to first
mm,
focus on their own mental well-being.
right. So is that a bit of a journey then? Do you find that people contact you and you have this conversation, open conversation about, well, the coaching is, you're asking for coaching for your teen, but actually what I'm wondering is whether it might be helpful to speak to yourself in this process also. So this is a part of the process. Is
It's
that what you?
eh, yeah, it's a bit difficult for the parents because they come pointing on their teens that they're like this, they are loud, they sometimes they swear, they curse, they are
Mm,
unable to be available for us and all this. And then when I point the finger on them, there's a silence that I
okay.
hear. Yeah. So it is a
And
bit
this
a bit harsh
this
on them.
yeah, and this pointing the finger, is it actually that harsh, or is it kind of you have that open conversation around,
I have
what is
to.
your role in this?
I have to, because the parents, what happens, they feel
Mm,
intimidated, or they feel like, oh, we're always wrong, because the kids say, Mommy, you like this, Mommy, don't, please don't shout at me, or don't do this to me, or do, and they always in a fight mode. No, but I didn't mean it that way. I want it for your good. These are the conversation I hear. This
mm,
is for your sake. And when I, as an outsider, yeah, comes and say to them, but yes, you need to work on yourself before you think how you can help your child.
mm, mm. And
So it
yeah,
is helpful. It is very helpful that they can start thinking about their own selves first. You have to fill your own cup before trying to fill anyone else's cup, even if that's your child.
yeah. And what are you kind of met with then? You said that there's some kind of um, pushback in terms of, yeah,
Yeah, it is.
we're
It
being
is.
blamed again as
It is
parents.
because as elders, we think we know best. We don't think that we have so much baggage from our teenage, from our childhood. that we hold on our shoulders, and we always tend to give it to our kids as well by the end of it. We think, okay, it's done. I went through things in my childhood and it's just done now. I don't need to deal with it. It always comes out
Mm,
when,
mm,
mainly when you have children, or mainly when you have teenagers, they challenge you.
yeah. And
Yeah.
would you say it is only from their childhood, or would you say kind of current issues and problems might
Look,
also be introduced into the mix?
Atiyah,
So, mhm,
from the age 0 to 7, yeah, energy wise, we hold a lot of memories there. And then we start our teenage. Then comes professional life or marriage life. And every part of our life holds memories, traumas that need to be worked on. Yes.
I'm also thinking about things like that affect people later on in life. So it could be parental conflict, it could be perimenopause, etc.,
Mm.
menopause, etc. So those kind of impacts also. Do they come? Is that what's also discussed in terms of, well, why has mum suddenly changed? Why has her mood suddenly changed, for example?
Yeah, that is mainly one of the reasons. But yeah, I can't emphasize enough that everything that you are feeling right now, the source of it, it all goes back to your childhood. Even when we work on the womb, let's say you are going menopausal or premenopausal, there are things that you didn't deal with when you had the period, things that you didn't acknowledge and accept about your period, things that you didn't understand. It
Yeah.
was always that taboo thing. So when
So
menopause,
how do you enable the parent to kind of understand that? Is it coaching with yourself, or is there a third party then involved?
with the parents,
Yeah. So you said that you want the parents to have more insight into
yeah, then
what
it's
might be
me.
going on for them,
I sit with them and we have our sessions.
yourself. And,
And while tapping, or just first of all talking, just knowing them and understanding all the fears, and then going deeper in their subconscious mind, doing energy healing. So with energy healing, we see what actually affects them, not what they think the conscious mind thinks affects them. And it is, I can't emphasize enough, and I'm sorry I'm going back to the same point,
no, no, don't
because
worry.
whenever I work with the parents, it's always something about their childhood that was the root cause of this, of a situation that they're going through in right now in their present moment.
Mm, mm, mm,
It is crazy. It's like I sit with them and I just heal their childhood, I heal their teenage.
mm. Yeah. This all sounds very helpful, and I'm guessing that for a lot of people, when you're thinking about teenagers, um, there's probably the assumption that the teenager would be worked with,
Mm.
uh, or supported and helped in some way. However, what you're sharing here is that actually a great amount of work that you do are with parents, and um, do you work with the fathers also?
To be honest, I have mainly worked till now with the mothers, and
Okay.
they come with the worries of the father as well. So they will be saying, "Oh, the father says this. Like, why is my child like this? Why?" And I always work with the mother, and she goes back to the father. They discuss it, and she comes back to me. So mainly, I work with the mothers. Yeah.
Okay. So you're working with mothers, and I'm guessing that mothers, well, I know that mothers play a key role in attachment, but
Yes.
um, do you, for some mothers, it might be that, there's greater support required. Do you then refer them on to people that could support them in that way whilst you're working with a teenager, or do you recommend that they seek further support? Has that
So
ever occurred?
yeah. So what I do when the parent comes to me, first work with the parent, give them a month or two, work with them, and then work with the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We are coming towards the break slowly, and
Hmm.
I'm just thinking about how the first part of this program has focused on parents, and um, uh, quite sad to hear that actually um, fathers are. probably more in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever offer any kind of, you talked about family constellation, do you ever offer any support in that sense?
Yes, then when it comes to family constellation, I do then for the whole family. Sometimes for the mother, sometimes for the father, sometimes for the grandmother, because it's all that we are rooted into, the ancestors as well. So yes, I do. Then we can focus on the father in that aspect. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's been very interesting to hear. I mean, on the other side of the break, it'll be helpful to think about what you do with the work that you do with the teenagers, but at the same time, you talked about the different approaches that you offer, and so
Mm-hmm.
it'd be good to hear a bit more about that. But as we're working towards the break, I'm wondering, um, you talked about the parents' keenness to receive support, but there might be some parents who are unaware that their children are behaving differently. What kind of advice would you give to them? What do they need to look out for? So you said withdrawal and addictions.
Mm-hmm.
What is there anything else that you can think of, or any other signs and symptoms? Or perhaps if you could elaborate a bit on that.
Um, I said, and I repeat myself here, mother's intuition. As women, we have our intuition. They work so strong. I would request the mothers not to ignore when you have that feeling that stops you for a second, and you look at your child and think, why has she changed? What's happening with her?
Mm,
She's not the same.
mm,
Maybe it's that she's not the same. Or why is she reacting so much? What is behind that reaction? Is it that she's just rude? No, it can't be. That you can't give a reasoning that my daughter is disrespectful or my child is disrespectful. You need to look behind that
mm,
and
mm,
don't make it about yourself that, oh, she doesn't care for me, she doesn't respect me. It's You need to look beyond that and think,
yeah,
why is my daughter reacting so loudly or so abruptly? Mainly that's the first thing, that I said something small to her. Yeah. Oh, I asked her for something small, but her reaction was big. I want
mm,
you to not put the camera on yourself, um, thinking, oh, I'm getting disrespectful or disrespected or unvalidated. Think, why is she feeling unvalidated? Is she going through some trauma? Did something happen to her and I don't know? So yeah.
yeah. That's really helpful, thank you. So parents' intuition, noticing that there are differences in their behaviour.
Mm-hmm,
Perhaps it is that they're acting out, perhaps it is that there's increased argument in the house, perhaps it is that there's withdrawal, um, and perhaps sibling argument, conflict increase. And
mm-hmm,
um, so there's lots of things that parents could look out for there. Um, Thank you for sharing all of that with us. On the other side of the break, we will talk a little bit about your approaches and the healing journey for teenagers. So thank you for joining us, and we will see everybody on the other side of the break.
thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Mental Health and Emotional Wellbeing Show. In the first half of the show, you've heard our guest Fatima, a life coach, talking about how she enables and encourages mothers, parents to access services for their teen, inshallah. Okay, so Fatima, returning to what you were talking about before the break, I'm just wondering, in terms of once you have the teenager in front of you, what
Mm.
happens then? Tell us a little bit about this healing journey and what it entails, and some of the approaches that you might use.
Oh, so first of all, I just listen to them and validate what they feel,
Mm,
and how get comfortable with them so they are comfortable sharing their whatever they feel and relate to them. Because I was, as I told you, I went through a difficult teenage myself. So they can feel that what they are saying is validated. So first step is listening to them and creating that comfortable environment that you can talk yourself, your honest self.
mm,
And then once that's happened, I use different techniques. It could be breathing, breathing and feeling where their emotions is, teaching them how to express themselves. It could be, I've dealt with teenagers when I ask them, how do you feel? They have no words. So I've taught them, okay, give me one word. How do you feel? And then I give them, okay, can you write for me 3 words that express what you're feeling? And then I ask them, okay, now that you have 3 words, can you create some sentences explaining how you feel? And with time, now I can sit with them and them just telling me ins and outs of their emotion.
Mm.
And that's a success for me, for them, because what happens is why we tend to, from my point of view, why they tend to have a lot of panic attacks, the teenagers, is their inability to express what they truly feel. So when I can help them learn how to express their emotions, just like teaching the child A, B, C, D, the alphabets, and then they can make a sentence and they can speak it as well. Same with the teenagers, teaching them the A, B, C, D of their emotions and how they can express it. And I've noticed maybe the teenagers, if they've had a lot of panic attacks, or any kind of like mental breakdowns, that lessens and lessens with time. And keep in mind, I don't promise them that's going to happen. I just give them skills and tools to work on it.
And that opening up of the conversation around emotions, it sounds
Yes,
as though that is the key.
yes, yes. Emotions are the key for them to first, because my main approach is not only just the therapy world, but the healing world as well. So I teach them to feel where the emotion is stuck. Is in their heart, in their core, in their tummy, in their womb, in their mind, in their head. They just point out the first time they feel like, oh, what's
Mhm.
happening? Why are you asking us where the emotion is? We can't touch our emotion.
Uh,
But with time, they learn that where the emotion is stored. And then we do some breathing in it with that emotion to release that emotion. And surprisingly for them, they feel so much better instantly.
that's amazing.
Breathing.
Now, in terms of, so you said there that actually, without knowing, it impacts their panic attacks in a positive way in terms of
Yeah,
reducing the panic
yeah.
attacks. So that focusing on their breathing and
Mm.
enabling them to understand what's going on in their body,
Yeah.
that connection.
Yeah, incorporating these habits like breathing or meditating or releasing, these tools, it is taught in therapies and all that, but I try to make it into a habit for them.
Mm.
Morning breathing, evening breathing, how to journal your emotions, how to write them down. So really the basic things. But because let's say the parents are not aware, the environment they're in is not aware of these things, for them it's a big help.
Of course. Tell me more about this, the journaling. How do you encourage that?
Just giving them prompts, like I told you first I just use no questions, just for them to put what they feel on a paper. And surprisingly, sometimes I see the teenagers not knowing to even put a word on that page. And by the end of our sessions with them, they write so much, or they
Uh,
start painting. So it's just beautiful. I use painting a lot as well because it really helps them express what they feel. There's no mistakes in art, so I love that as well.
yeah, it sounds very creative and very encouraging.
Yeah.
Um, so is this a part of the EFT? Tell us a bit more about um,
Well, this is
yeah.
not part of EFT. EFT is, changing your subconscious programming, really. I healed myself through EFT. I tried it for myself first and really helped me. And it's just that those ideas, those programming, limiting beliefs that we have stored, again, either from our childhood, for teenagers, even from their parents, something that the parents believe in and they make it their own belief, but that belief doesn't serve them. So while tapping, we go to the root cause of that belief. Why do
Mm,
you think you can't, let's say, why do you think you can't work? You can't go and do community work. And they go back, oh, my parent believed this, so I can't do it. I'm not good enough. it always goes back to I'm not good enough. Then working on that, where do you get I'm not good enough? Some people say, well, my mom doesn't feel good enough, so I don't feel good enough. So it is all like a cycle that's happening, and I always take them back to the root, and then we work on it. And I always push my teenagers to do community work. Wherever I see community work, I always push them and advise them, to go and work there. And there is a big difference in their personalities once they work in the community.
Yeah. So the lead up to the EFT is talking about connecting with emotions, the journaling, the breathing, the connecting with their bodies, and then you move on to the EFT work. I've also said there that actually for a lot of teenagers, it might be helpful to do some community work, and I think that's really important, isn't it? To build their confidence through community work, to give back, to learn. Tell me more about the benefits of community work.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how to describe how important that is, to be honest. It holds a big place for me in my heart, community work does. First, the confidence they get, like it is, because you live in this bubble of your home. Let's say your parents or your siblings or whoever your family member is, they don't believe in you as such because of their own traumas and their own limiting beliefs. So you start thinking that of yourself. But when you go out and do community work, people see you for who you are, for your own hard work and your way of dealing with people. And when you get appreciated and you see you're doing well, you actually find your true potential. Before even going into uni and college, your self-worth is, you have self-worth. You don't lack it then. So I advise teenagers who are not in university phase yet, not in the college phase yet, go and do community work and know what you're capable of, because you're always more capable than you think. And I always advise people to look at yourself, especially teenagers and women, through Allah's lens, not through people's lens, what people might think of you or what your limiting beliefs might be. Look to yourself with the lenses of Allah, the honor He gave you, and how He believed in you. So that always helps.
Yeah, and I see that within the local one of the local masjids in the area, they have a kind of an eye care program, which is about volunteering and giving back to the community.
Wow.
So I think you're right. It's important to encourage young people to engage in volunteering because of all of the reasons you've mentioned there.
Yes.
Sometimes they
Atiyah,
might.
Atiyah, sorry to cut you off here.
No.
I personally, when I went to university, I didn't know what I'm good at. And that really bugged me. That really annoyed me. That I did Arabic language for 4 years in my bachelor's before even exploring that what I could be good at. I didn't do any community work. I didn't go out and figure out anything for myself. And I ended up making that choice that wasn't, career-wise, maybe wasn't the best for me. But now that I'm in a place that I can advise girls to go for this, I would please emphasize on doing any sort of community work, even if you're doing a job. That's great.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit there about EFT, emotional freedom technique. We've talked a little bit about how you enable people to connect. Tell me a little bit more about the family constellation.
Family constellation, it's mainly for the parents, I'll be honest with you, because it's a vaster topic. The kids, teenagers might not be able to grasp it as much. So I like to focus the healing because sometimes, as you said, the fathers take a back seat, but the root problem could be from the father side as well. And now I'm speaking about an energy-based therapy. It's not a subconscious mind, it's an energy-based therapy, family constellation is. So the father doesn't want to come up. So then we work with family constellation. What is family constellation? It's breaking generational traumas.
Mm.
So a trauma that your mom could have gone through, or your grandmother, or your great grandmother. And you are here to live their story, to
Yeah.
make it count. When we do energy work, we help that energy to break, and we honor our ancestors, our parents and grandparents, while stepping back and choosing to create your own story rather than proving them in this world. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. This healing of wounds from generational trauma is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing you say.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so in terms of the teen and enabling them to seek support,
Mm-hmm.
how do you encourage teenagers to get involved in your coaching? So let's say they're a bit reluctant initially. What do you say to them? What helps them think about things differently?
I think teenagers are very aware nowadays. I think they're very extremely aware of what they are going through. You know what you're going through. You know what has happened to you that is still bothering you. You know that you're not feeling validated in some areas. Don't leave that in the back seat. I would advise them to lead their journey. I would advise them to work on themselves now so they can have a better future, the future that you dreamt of, all the good things that you want to work towards.
Mhm.
And those being unvalidated and feeling unworthy or feeling conflicted, these things are going to pull you back. They are going to pull you back in your exams, in your relationship with your friends, finding the right friend, going through the exams smoothly, finding the right university. All these traumas that you're going through might affect what you're going to choose in future. So I would just advise them that before stepping into the future, work on your past and present. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful to hear. Um, so you're mostly approached by mothers
Mm-hmm.
of teenagers, and you say that you provide some time for the parents or the
Mm-hmm.
parent,
Mm.
and then you go on to work with the young person.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're also connecting them to volunteering, communities, or thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. How long is your work with the young person that you're working with? Can it differ?
You know, uh, there's different packages that I do provide, or the work that I think they need is from 2 months to some people I work with them 3 months. Some people I would even work for 6 months with them,
Mm,
depending on every case.
mhm.
Yes.
Share some information about the packages that you provide.
So I do per session. I charge £30. It's an hour session on a weekly basis, once a week, unless someone is going through a really big, trauma or some situation. Then I provide them a constant coaching throughout the week, twice a week or even thrice a week.
Mm,
Just I just want them to feel heard and validated, so I'll be in contact with them throughout the week. But if that's not the case, then I do once a week coaching,
mm,
and that the charges are only £30. I made it affordable because I want to reach out to, all the ladies, all the girls who think, the therapy world is not affordable. Why am I gonna, spend money on this? Well, but this is an investment. I would advise you, this is an investment with me or someone else, whatever you're comfortable with. And let me repeat, sometimes you might not be comfortable with me, you might be comfortable with another therapist. Whatever you find right for yourself, just
mm.
don't neglect your own self and well-being.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's informative in terms of what you provide and how
Mm-hmm.
you speak to young people and parents. Um, Ramadan, this month of blessing,
Yes.
how can people connect with that to support their well-being?
Oh, I think the really big thing in healing for me is acknowledging what you're going through, leave alone reaching the step of healing,
Mm,
in your dua, speaking to Allah, having that alone time reflecting on what you've been going through all this year, and just acknowledging that where you're going, what the hardship that you went through, and showing gratitude to what blessings you've had. I am providing again an offer for family constellations, especially every 2 sessions. Third session is free of charge. I like to have a therapy mainly in Ramadan because it doubles the healing. It doubles the healing. It's a blessed month, and when you focus on your healing, it doubles all the blessings, inshallah. Yeah.
Inshallah. And you're right, in terms of Ramadan and engaging and connecting with your dua, spending
Mm-hmm.
longer, the constant reminder during the day whilst you're fasting
Mm-hmm.
of our purpose, it encourages and increases resilience.
Yes.
I think that's what I'm hearing you say, in
And
terms of being grounded and
yes.
go ahead.
And you just said purpose. Oh, this is another topic that I work a lot on, having a purpose, because women, even the mothers, I'll specifically say mothers here, when they feel like they don't know what their purpose is, and that really hurts them, and that causes a lot of turbulence in their life. They feel less.
Mm,
So just making dua for finding your purpose this Ramadan, reflecting on what you're good at, what you're capable of. Yeah, just a little reminder for all the mothers. Just reflect on what you're good at, what people think you're good at. Where do you get the most compliments for? You're good at, talking, selling, cooking. What is it, your purpose?
mm,
So yeah, just like look and
mm. Because
look.
actually it's quite vast, isn't it? That
Yes.
the credit for parents and mothers, understanding what
Hmm.
makes them valued, how
Hmm.
they value themselves. Um, yeah,
Yes.
very interesting what you shared there.
Yes, it's all a cycle. If you find you know your purpose and you know your worth, you will be able to provide the same for your daughter and give her space to look for that as well. And if you don't have it, and you haven't looked for yourself, you will always feel what she's doing is pointless. But
Yeah.
actually, she's trying to find her purpose in this world.
Mm, mm. So before we end, and we are nearing the end of towards the end of the show, I want you to talk a little bit about what you offer around sacred breath,
Yes.
um, because that touches upon what you've said there in terms of breathing, meditation,
Yes.
incorporating the names of Allah. I was very interested in hearing about that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, Sacred Breath. Yes, this is a group that we've created. And created specifically for the mothers, just the right timing, 9:30 to 9:50. Sometimes we push it to 10 o'clock because we get so invested in it. It is because with my clients, I always recommend them to do breathing, meditation, but they always lack in it because there's no, not very helpful environment around these things. So I decided to
Mm,
make it in a group and I lead it. So they are breathing on a regular basis. They are meditating on a regular basis, and not only just breathing and meditating on the surface level, but we create a space to connect with Allah spiritually with His name, with His names and the du'as.
mm,
Du'as which help with stress and anxiety, du'as who help us to connect with our womb, du'as who help us feel our power, the names and the meditation that let us know what power we have as women within us, inshallah. So this is like a very sacred, like it is for me and for the ladies around me, with me in the group, very sacred. It's a safe place. It
mm,
is you don't require a lot, you just require to be there and available. Yes, inshallah. And it's just me helping them create this habit. And the reviews I've gotten back, because I work with a lot of pains as well. I have this technique that I do whenever there's a pain. I ask them to breathe and ask the pain, why are you here? What is your message? And with that, it really helps them to connect with the pain. And sometimes pain just need a vessel to go through. And subhanallah, they come to me saying, oh, that pain is gone. I
Wow.
only needed to hear it. I
Mm,
needed to listen to it. If it's
mm,
on a deeper level, I ask them to write a letter for their pain. And subhanallah, the reviews that, oh, my pain is gone. Sometimes it's just validating that pain and listening to it. It tells you a very good stories behind it, it turns
mm.
out. Yeah.
I mean, sister, this is something that, Fatima, we don't really offer, or it's not offered, sorry, on the NHS, let's say, for example.
Yes.
But actually, it's key to cultural sensitivity,
Yes.
and people seeking awareness of their personal grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Uh,
think actually this sounds like a very valuable
y- y-
course, I think, or what would you call it, sessions that you
it's a
offer?
membership.
Hmm.
So it I charge £10 a month, very minimum. I just want everybody to attend,
Hmm.
and benefit from it and get in a habit. I'm getting reviews now that we feel relaxed when we go through situations. We feel this calmness in ourselves. It's just from this habit.
Mm.
I might not provide the biggest, the fanciest therapies, but I want them to have tools, even
Sure.
when I am not there, leaving a legacy, like they say,
Mm.
that even when I'm not there, they know how to deal with their emotions, how to validate themselves, because we get a lot of negativity from around us. If you don't connect within and find the positivity
Mhm,
within us,
mm.
it's hard to survive then. And I
Absolutely.
always teach them to find the positivity
Sure,
within.
sure. And I think that that's really important, actually, the grounding that you've mentioned there.
Yeah.
And as we move towards the end of the session, I want you to tell me about how people can get in touch with you, and also where these sessions are held.
So these sessions are online sessions. And I do provide online therapy on Zoom. You can come face to face. You just get in touch with me, and whatever is comfortable for you, we can arrange that way. Yes.
Okay, so these are accessible online, and you've
Yes.
provided details of how people can get in touch with
Yeah.
yourself. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Fatima, and hearing about the work, the key work that you provide within the community. Thank you very much for your time and joining us today. It's been much appreciated.
Thank you for giving me the space to, reach out to all the women and girls that are out there. And I would only say all your feelings and emotions are validated. And inshallah, may Allah make this month of Ramadan month of healing for all of us.
Ameen. And if you'd like to hear more information, please feel free to uh, access our YouTube Ramadan Radio Wolves channel. And we will see you next week at the Emotional Wellbeing and Mental Health Show. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.